Marcus Reed had long ago accepted that life rarely rewarded the people who worked the hardest. At 34, he spent his nights pushing a cleaning cart through the polished hallways of Langford Global headquarters, wiping fingerprints from glass walls that reflected the glittering skyline outside. Every morning, before the city fully awakened, he returned to the tiny apartment he shared with his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Their home was small enough that the kitchen blended into the living room, and Lily's bedroom was separated from the rest of the apartment by a simple folding divider Marcus had built himself from inexpensive plywood. It was far from luxurious, but every corner carried warmth because it was filled with laughter, homemade decorations, and memories they created together. Marcus had become a single father 5 years earlier after losing his wife to a sudden illness. Since then, every decision he made revolved around Lily. He skipped meals whenever money ran short, wore the same pair of work shoes until the soles nearly separated, and never complained if it meant Lily could attend school with everything she needed. To her, he wasn't just a father. He was a storyteller, a handyman, a cook, a teacher, and her greatest hero. Every evening, before leaving for work, Marcus helped Lily with her homework. They turned multiplication tables into games and history lessons into exciting adventures. When the clock signaled it was time for him to leave, Lily always walked him to the apartment door. "Be careful, Dad." "I always am," he replied with a smile. She hugged him tightly every single night. One rainy Tuesday, as Marcus polished the marble floor outside the executive conference room, conversations drifted through the slightly open doors. "The birthday celebration has to be unforgettable. I've already ordered a custom diamond bracelet. I'm giving her an antique sculpture flown in from Europe." Marcus quietly continued mopping, pretending not to hear. The birthday they discussed belonged to Victoria Langford, the billionaire founder and CEO of Langford Global. Stories about her filled business magazines. She had built an international empire from a small technology company and now employed thousands of people. Most workers admired her from afar because very few ever met her personally. Later that afternoon, a company-wide email arrived announcing that every employee was invited to Victoria's birthday celebration at her private estate. Attendance wasn't mandatory, but everyone was encouraged to come together as one company. Within hours, excitement spread throughout every department. Executives debated luxury gifts. Managers compared expensive ideas. Even receptionists pooled money together for designer flowers. Marcus quietly deleted the email. There was no point thinking about attending. After rent, groceries, transportation, Lily's school supplies, and utility bills, he barely managed to save a few dollars each month. Buying an expensive birthday present wasn't simply difficult, it was impossible. That evening, after preparing tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches, Marcus mentioned the invitation while washing dishes. "I'm probably not going," he said casually. Lily looked up from the small notebook where she was drawing colorful flowers. "Why?" "I can't bring the kind of gift everyone else will." She frowned thoughtfully. "Does she know how much money people spend?" Marcus laughed softly. "I suppose she does. Then another expensive thing won't be special." He smiled but continued drying the plates. "You don't understand. The people there are executives. Lawyers. Investors. They'll all have beautiful gifts." Lily climbed onto a chair beside the kitchen table. "What if your gift is beautiful too?" Marcus shook his head. "We can't afford beautiful." Without another word, Lily disappeared into her room. A few minutes later she returned carrying an unfinished wooden box Marcus had carved months earlier from leftover oak pieces discarded during an office renovation. He had planned to finish it someday but never found the time. "We could finish this together." Marcus gently ran his fingers across the smooth wood. "It isn't perfect. It doesn't have to be." She smiled with complete confidence. "You always tell me the best things are made with love." For a long moment, Marcus couldn't answer. The next several evenings became their favorite part of the week. After school, Lily carefully painted tiny blue flowers across the lid while Marcus sanded every edge until the wood felt smooth as silk. He installed a simple music mechanism he had purchased years earlier from a hobby. "It's beautiful," she whispered. On the final night, she folded a small handwritten note and placed it inside. Marcus read the words silently. "Thank you for giving so many people opportunities. We hope this reminds you that kindness lasts longer than money." His eyes filled with emotion. "She'll probably never read this." Lily looked at him with surprising certainty. "She will." Friday evening finally arrived. Marcus stood before the cracked hallway mirror wearing the only dark suit he owned. It fit a little loosely now, and the cuffs showed signs of age despite being carefully pressed. "You look handsome," Lily declared proudly. "I look nervous." "That's because you care." She handed him the neatly wrapped music box, covered in simple blue paper with a white ribbon they had reused from an old birthday gift. Marcus accepted it carefully, almost afraid to wrinkle the wrapping. "What if people laugh?" Lily stepped closer and squeezed his hand. "Then they'll show you who they are." He hugged her tightly before leaving. As Marcus boarded the city bus toward Victoria Langford's magnificent estate, he stared out the window at the passing lights. Expensive cars overtook the bus one after another, all heading in the same direction. He wondered if he should turn back before anyone noticed he had come. Yet every time doubt entered his mind, he remembered Lily's unwavering smile and the little note hidden inside the wooden music box. Holding the carefully wrapped gift close against his chest, Marcus took a slow breath as the enormous gates of the billionaire's mansion came into view, unaware that before the night ended, his simple act of kindness would change far more than his own life. The moment Marcus stepped through the towering iron gates of Victoria Langford's estate, he felt as though he had entered another world. The mansion stood proudly against the evening sky, its white stone walls glowing beneath hundreds of elegant lights. Luxury cars lined the circular driveway, each one more expensive than anything Marcus had ever imagined owning. Valets hurried from vehicle to vehicle while elegantly dressed guests climbed the marble staircase, laughing as photographers captured their arrivals. Marcus instinctively looked down at his polished but worn shoes. He had spent nearly an hour cleaning them before leaving home, yet beside the glossy leather shoes surrounding him, they still looked old. He tightened his grip on the neatly wrapped music box and reminded himself why he had come. This gift wasn't about impressing anyone. It was a gift from the heart, created by a father and his daughter. Inside, the ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers hanging from an impossibly high ceiling. Fresh flowers filled every corner of the room, their fragrance blending with the soft music played by a live orchestra. Long tables displayed gourmet dishes from around the world while servers carried silver trays filled with sparkling drinks and elegant desserts. Marcus quietly accepted a glass of water and moved toward the edge of the room, hoping not to attract attention. Groups of executives laughed together, discussing international business deals, luxury vacations, and expensive investments. Many had brought gifts wrapped in shimmering paper with enormous satin bows. One man proudly told his colleagues that his gift had been custom designed in Italy. Another spoke about a rare diamond necklace insured for more than most families earned in a lifetime. Marcus glanced down at his own package wrapped in simple blue paper. Suddenly it seemed even smaller than before. A woman from the accounting department noticed him standing alone. "You actually came," she said with surprise. Marcus smiled politely. "I thought it would be nice to celebrate with everyone." Her eyes drifted toward the package in his hands. "What did you bring?" "Oh, just something handmade." Before Marcus could say another word, two senior executives approached. "Handmade," one of them repeated with a smirk. "That's creative." The other executive chuckled. "I suppose when you can't afford luxury, creativity has to do the job." Both men laughed quietly before walking away. Marcus forced a weak smile, pretending the words hadn't bothered him, but they settled heavily in his chest. He considered leaving. No one would notice if the janitor quietly slipped out before the ceremony began. As he turned toward the exit, he remembered Lily standing by the apartment door. What if people laugh? Then they'll show you who they are. He stopped walking. Taking a slow breath, Marcus made his way toward the long gift table positioned beside the stage. Dozens of extravagant presents already covered its surface. Massive gift boxes wrapped in metallic paper stood beside elegant velvet cases containing jewelry and luxury watches. Staff members carefully arranged each item while photographers took pictures for the company's newsletter. Marcus searched for an empty corner. At the very end of the table, almost hidden behind a large bouquet of white roses, he gently placed the small blue package. He smiled quietly to himself. It didn't matter where it sat. The meaning inside mattered far more. Unfortunately, his brief moment of peace didn't last. One executive noticed the modest package almost immediately. He picked it up curiously. "Whose is this?" Several nearby guests looked over. Marcus slowly raised his hand. "It's mine." The executive examined the inexpensive wrapping paper before grinning. "Our janitor brought the CEO a mystery box." Laughter spread through the surrounding group. Another guest leaned closer. "It looks like something from an elementary school art fair." Someone else added, "Maybe it's homemade cookies." "No," another joked. "Probably cleaning supplies." The circle erupted with louder laughter. Marcus felt dozens of eyes fixed upon him. His face flushed with embarrassment. I thought she'd appreciate something personal," he said quietly. One woman shook her head. "This is a billionaire's birthday party, not a neighborhood picnic." The executive casually placed the gift back on the table, though not nearly as carefully as Marcus had. "I suppose she'll get a good laugh out of it." Marcus stared at the package, resisting the urge to retrieve it and leave. At that moment, the orchestra stopped playing. The ballroom doors slowly opened. Every conversation immediately fell silent. Victoria Langford entered wearing an elegant silver evening gown that shimmered beneath the crystal chandeliers. She greeted guests with a graceful smile while photographers' cameras flashed continuously around her. Company directors, investors, and political leaders eagerly stepped forward to congratulate her. Marcus remained near the back of the room, almost invisible among the crowd. From where he stood, he watched Victoria warmly shake hands with employees from every department, thanking them for attending. Unlike the rumors that painted her as cold and distant, her smile appeared sincere, and she paused to speak with workers regardless of their position. Soon the master of ceremonies stepped onto the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight as we celebrate another remarkable year in the life of Ms. Victoria Langford." Thunderous applause filled the ballroom. The host continued. "As part of tonight's celebration, we will now present the birthday gifts generously brought by friends, business partners, and members of the Langford global family." Assistants began arranging the presents in order. Marcus watched anxiously as one luxurious gift after another was placed under the bright stage lights. His small blue package remained at the very end of the table. He silently prayed no one would open it in front of the crowd. But destiny had already chosen otherwise.